All right, welcome everyone to another Maine SBDC webinar. My name is Kelsey and I'm with the Maine Small Business Development Center, as well as our wonderful host today, Chris Cole, who's one of the business advisors at the USM office. And today we will be going over lawn care to landscaping, all things hardscaping apparently also. We're gonna really get down to what it takes to get a land care business up and going. So it's pretty extensive, and we're gonna be going over a bunch of stuff, but this will be recorded. So if at any point you'd like to pause and rewind, that recording will be available after the live presentation. So definitely keep an eye out for my follow-up email, which will include the slides and the recording and all of our contact info. So again, we're the Maine SBDC, and we're here for all things small business. Any questions you might have, our business advisors are here for free confidential business advising. And if you're lucky, you might get Chris. So I'm going to pass it over to her.
Great. Thanks, Kelsey. Thank you, everyone, for joining me during your lunch hour. The reason that I wanted to do this webinar, well, I have a couple reasons. One, when I was a kid, my dad had a lot of property, and it was one of my jobs to do all the mowing and stuff. And I remember asking him one time about, or telling him I wanted to, I thought, oh, I could do this, I could get myself a job doing this. And my dad said, well, first you need to buy the lawnmower. And also, how are you going to get to those jobs? Well, we lived kind of far out, and I didn't think my dad would take me around. Plus, I couldn't afford the lawnmower at that moment. But as I got older, I did realize that people, do this for a living, and they do it successfully. Also, I've been working with clients in different ranges of their business. Some people starting out, some people that have gone to the extent of adding hardscaping and they still have their lawn care business. So I thought it was a good time to discuss these items. Today we'll talk about things like choosing your name, registering your entity, licensing and insurance, which is really important, your contact information, how to attract clients. We'll go into some pricing and quoting. Taking it to the next level, education, which is important, and a little bit about hiring staff. So first, when you choose a name, you want to think about something that is catchy, it's easy for people to remember. And also when you think about a logo, you want to keep it simple. These are just some items that I found on clip art, but they also speak to what your business is. So when you're choosing a logo, if you're a lawn care business, you don't want to choose like a picture of a dog or something that's not related at all to your business. And you want to make sure that it's simple, easy for people to recognize your business with that. Today I chose Sprouts Lawn Care Company. I thought that was kind of a cute name. And once you've gotten that out of the way, then what kind of entity do you want your business to be? Most people start out as sole proprietors. This is pretty straightforward. You just need to register your business with your local town. The cost varies. Some towns don't charge anything to register your business. Other towns can be as much as $100. Usually it's around $40. It's a one-time fee, and you are the business. So your social security number will be used on the bank account, and you don't necessarily need a separate bank account, although we do recommend it. Also, you're liable here. So if something happens on the job, you're the one responsible if you get sued. And we'll talk a little bit about in the next slide about how insurance will help offset that. Then you could become an LLC. This is something that many people choose. Cost $175 to initially register to file for your LLC. And then there's an $85 fee every year for the annual report. Also, you need to apply for your employer identification number. This you'll get from the IRS. And you're going to use that number to set up a separate bank account. It's really important here to keep your accounts separate. So when you're an LLC, the company is separate from you, which now helps you when it comes to liability, because if for some reason you get sued, as long as you followed the regulations of being an LLC, it will be the company that is sued and not you personally. The next step would be an S Corp. This is a little more detailed than the LLC. It's $145 to file for your articles of incorporation. Also, the annual report is $85 for this one. You need to name company directors. You have to draft bylaws and articles of incorporation. There's stock that gets issued here. You need an annual meeting. You also need a registered agent, which you need a registered agent for an LLC as well. Usually the registered agent for an LLC can be yourself if you so choose. Typically with an S Corp, you want your attorney to be your registered agent. You need to pay yourself a reasonable salary here. That's part of being an S Corporation. To form an S Corporation, on average, it's around $1,400 for the legal work. And we highly recommend that you have an attorney and an accountant when you're going this route. Most likely you want an attorney and accountant for any business that you're doing. If you have questions about this, in particular, I would say this series at the bottom, Business Entities and Legal Structure Playlist, that's an excellent video series that was done by our center director, Peter Harriman. Really talks about the tax differences between each of the entities and the liability differences. So I would give that a look. Licensing. So when you're starting a lawn care business or landscaping, you are not required to have a license. However, if you're going to work with pesticides, and most likely you will, you're going to want the Commercial Applicator Master Certification. For this certification, that costs $10 per written exam plus a $40 oral exam fee. You have to take 3 written exams to be the master certification and plus the oral exam. And then under you can have the operator certification, and that person needs 2 written exams. And they give a whole list of different topics that you can take your exams on. There's the forest pest management. There's also turf, seed treatment, general vegetation. So there's a huge area depending on the concentration, the customers that you're going to be working with. And again, this comes from the Department of Agriculture. Then if you're going to be cutting trees, you need to get your arborist license. So you have to pass a test in that. And for the arborist license, it's $85 for the study guide. Then there are fees for every level, but the first level of landscape or utility exam, that's $60 for each exam. You could take both exams for $80. The master level, the next level there, it's $85 for each exam. Again, you could take both exams for $110. And you also need to have proof of insurance, adequate insurance, to be able to, excuse me, get your arborist license. And I've included the link here to the licensing. That link will take you to both the commercial applicator and the arborist license if those are things you're interested in doing. All right, insurance. I say here that it doesn't cost very much and it will save you a lot of headaches. It does cost some money, but it will certainly save you headaches. Any business owner, you really want to have general liability insurance. This is going to protect you against lawsuits, and it's also going to make sure that your lawn care business is going to continue to run. Certainly accidents happen on the job. They are unforeseen, but for example, that really nice zero-turn lawnmower, if it gets out of control, you accidentally hit somebody's garage, that can cost $5,000 to $10,000, and that's a large outlay for a small business. So definitely want to get your general liability insurance. Then property insurance. This is for your premises, your business equipment, and also your office equipment. You want to have those things insured in case there's damage to them or loss of use. and commercial auto insurance. So if you're driving to a job and you're towing your mowing equipment with you and you have an accident, your regular auto insurance will not cover you because you're in the process of conducting business. So you absolutely need to have commercial auto insurance on your towing vehicle. And lastly, I put workers' comp in here. This is a requirement for when you have employees. Usually business owners choose not to have it on themselves, but you definitely are required to have it for your employees. All right, how will your customers find you? You want to set up an email account, and the email account wants to include your business name. So it could be something like bill.sprouts.lawncare@gmail.com, something that includes your business name. And then create a Facebook page. Facebook is still free. It's a great way to get reviews. People still look at your Facebook page. It's a good place to have people post for you and put pictures on. Again, that's free, easy to set up. A website. Now, Square, because a lot of people now want to use a credit card or Venmo or different forms of payment as opposed to cash or check. So if you use Square to process your payment, they offer a free website set up, and they have tools. We'll show you how to do it, and they'll kind of work you through that process. Once you have your website set up, definitely claim Google My Business page. It's free. It really is a great way for customers to find you. And I looked up the statistics, 92% of people still use Google for their search engine. So it's really a great way for customers to find you. You want to take advantage of that. And I believe one of our contract specialists, marketing specialists, is going to be doing a webinar on how to set up your Google My Business page, which will be great for everybody to be able to see that. Then your business phone. Most of us have cell phones. It's probably your personal cell phone, but make sure your voicemail says your company name. So it doesn't just say, hey, this is Bill, leave a message, but it should say, thanks for calling Sprouts Lawn Care. Please leave a message and I will call you back in 24 hours. You want to give customers an expectation of a time, because if you say to them, I'll call you back as soon as I can, some people are going to expect that you'll call them back within an hour or 2 hours, but you're probably on a job all day and you might not be able to get back to them until the end of the day. Certainly, if you put something like 24 hours on there and you get to them before the 24 hours are up, they're going to be really pleased because now you've exceeded their expectation on that. When you do print material, you want to be consistent. Your invoices, yes, you can buy an invoice book from Staples, just a blank one, but go to the effort of having your contact information, your logo printed on your invoices as well. And when you're using your software, whatever you're going to use for sending out invoices, emailing invoices, or printing invoices, that will allow you to have that contact information there. Business cards, and then marketing items. People still kind of like those little marketing items. And I know myself, the person that cleans my furnace, he this last year gave us these little LED flashlights, which had his contact information on them. And they were really useful. I know they're not very expensive, but they're kind of nice. And then magnets. The thing about magnets is people still, stick them on their fridge or freezer, and it does keep you top of mind. We store our boat over in Cumberland, and when we put it in at the end of the season, the gentleman who takes our payment always gives us a magnet that says the next year's out dates and then the in dates. So something we just stick on our fridge and then we always have it. So it's a good reference. And again, these items don't cost very much, but just make sure you're consistent on all of those things that you print. Equipment. All right. So of course we have the big boy here, the zero-turn mower. You see them everywhere. They're really fast and efficient, but they're expensive. Then a lot of people start out with a smaller mower there, the Toro push or self-propelled. You're going to need both of those. And then the smaller power equipment, like your weed whacker, trimmer, blower, all of that. A lot of customers these days like the idea of using as little gas powered equipment as possible. If you do go the route of the cordless equipment, which is quieter and cleaner, it's also less powerful though. So I would suggest that you buy multiple battery packs and make sure they're charged so you can change it out and continue your work. You'll need a towing trailer here. So, and then the chainsaw, if you get into cutting trees, for sure you're gonna want a decent chainsaw and some hand tools here. Anyways, all of this together is probably right around, $5,000 to $7,000 easily in an outlay. Once you've kind of spent that money, you want to make sure that you maintain that equipment. And on the right here is just a checklist that you can create in a Word document or an Excel spreadsheet. I know it sounds, really basic, but it's something that you have to discipline yourself to do on a regular basis. Check those oil levels, because that certainly can burn out your engine if you run out of oil. Clean the blades every day, check the belts, clean the deck. All of your tools, when you get done at the end of the day, clean them before you put them away, recharge those batteries. And then fuel stabilizer. We have a considerable amount of ethanol in our fuel, and ethanol can kill a small engine. So what I do is I get the marine stable, which is a little bit higher grade than the regular stabilizer. When I get 5 gallons of gas, I just put the appropriate amount of marine stable in that 5-gallon container. And every time I use my tractor or lawnmower, whatever I'm using for a small engine, it's already in there and it keeps it from gunking up. If you choose not to do that, just make sure at the end of the season that you put the stable in and run it through all the equipment. And excuse me, also on the left here is just a form. You can find this, there are all kinds of templates online for equipment inspection and repair, and you can order these and have them printed out, but this is really good. It goes through everything. So again, preventative maintenance, you've invested in this equipment, you want to make sure that you're going to have it for the long run. All right, so somewhere we had to put the business plan, and we're not even really discussing the business plan, but we're discussing why it's important to have a business plan. For some people, this can be a hobby. And if it's a hobby, certainly a different tax consequence. But this, today, we're talking about having it as your business. So clarity, why are you doing this business and what do you want to accomplish from it? There are people that start this business when they're in high school or college for the summertime, and their goal here is to buy their first car or to help to pay for their tuition. And that may be the only reason that they start this business. Sometimes that leads to beyond college and it becomes their career. And you certainly here want to put your financial goals as well as your personal goals with this business. To what extent do you want to grow the business? Understanding your market and competition. That's really key. Your competition, you need to know what their price is, the area that they cover, what services they offer. And then from that, you can figure out what your competitive advantage is. Is it specialized service? Is it a better price? Things like that. And then your market, who is your customer and how are you going to reach them? And really, is there a demand there? Business plan helps to keep you organized. This will help you work on, forecasting your revenue, projecting expenses. Lots of times we see that we're making $45 or $60 an hour, but there's no accountability for how much it costs to put the gas in the mower, or the insurance needs, or the software programs that you're paying for. So all of those things, you want to look at when you're doing your revenue forecasting. And then confirm the math here. Is it really viable? Will you make money? Are there enough customers in your area? Is the market saturated already? Are there plenty of other companies out there? So those are all the steps that you're going to go through. Once you figure that it is viable, then the business plan helps you be accountable. It's kind of like a roadmap as you go through, and it's a way that you can plan out your next steps, whether it's purchasing more equipment or projections for the next year, adding staff. So all of those things are part of what your business plan does. Again, there's a couple links here to writing a business plan and also our business plan guide. Those are on the SBDC, our website. So they're great things to look at, and they really go into the details of the business plan. Certainly myself, other advisors, we're here to help you with that part as well. All right, excuse me, attracting clients. Mailing still works, and it's not terribly expensive. This price here is what I found from Vistaprint, and this is just for a basic postcard, but they take care of the mailing list. So 60 per 1,000, you just design it and they'll take care of it for you. They'll get it out to the customers. Lawn signs, these corrugated plastic signs, usually they're two-sided, $5 to $9 each is not a terrible investment. You just make sure you get permission from the owner the day that you're doing the work and put it right out in the front so that as people drive past or walk past the house, if they like your services, they can kind of jot down your information. And also, if you're going to put it in public areas, make sure that you find approved places to post these signs. A town will call you up most likely and give you a warning, ask you to move it, but sometimes they'll fine you if you've posted signs in the wrong place. So just make sure you get permission wherever you're going to put them. Social media. This is really important. As you go through your business, gather those reviews, ask your customers, please post on my Facebook page and let other people know that you like my services. Really, the majority of people choose your services based on the reviews that they read, how many stars you get, things like that. So it's really important that you gather those reviews, you maintain them. I know myself, before I go out somewhere to dinner, I'll look up the restaurant, see how many stars they have. Before I purchase a piece of equipment, I will see, what rating that has and read the reviews, the good ones and the bad ones. So it's really important that you get those reviews from your customers. Vehicle signage. This is another thing. Vinyl lettering is not terribly expensive. You can get somebody to letter up your vehicle and have your logo there. Make sure it's clear and easily readable from a distance. So here, as people drive by, you probably just want like a nice clear logo on there and your phone number. Or if your website isn't too long, you can put that on there as well. Another thing that I have seen a lot, and I think it makes perfect sense, is when you park your vehicle and you've unloaded all of the mowing equipment off of there on the trailer. I've seen people put a very large sign with clear information about how to contact them. So again, it's a kind of a free way to post your information and get customers to be interested in you. And then local bulletin boards. There are stores that still have those cork boards that you can, post a little printed sign up, and people still do read them. But also virtual bulletin boards, such as your town community pages and Facebook groups. There are some that cost you a little bit of money, but most of them are free. So definitely want to take advantage of that. And lastly, I would say referral programs. I would say that you would want to ask your customers first. I mean, most customers will give you a referral without any expectation of, a discount or a present or something like that. So, people want to see you succeed. Ask them, if they like your services, do you know of somebody else that, or would you recommend me to whoever, and get those referrals from them. If you feel like you need to give some type of gift card or a discount or free service, that's fine as well. Just make sure you're consistent when you do that. And, you also want to make sure that it's a one-time deal and that customers understand that if they refer their cousin Joe, that they get that $10 Starbucks gift certificate from you, but they're not going to get that every single time you take care of Joe's property. So again, you just want to be consistent with those programs. All right, quoting a job and taking payment. This is where really knowing your expense comes in, and knowing how much you want to pay yourself and your employees. And then you have to factor in your overhead expenses. You know, how hard is this job? And the distance from your business. Lots of times people now will have a radius of 15 or 20 miles. And once they get beyond that, they charge a per mile fee, sometimes $2 or $3 per mile beyond that radius. Customers really want your service, they'll pay for that, because you have to realize when you're driving and you're not actually doing the lawn itself or the landscaping itself, you're not making money. So you do have to kind of make up for that. And projecting how many hours it will take you. You want to make a profit. You came into this business to make money, and then consider replacement of costs for your equipment. So all of those things get factored into when you're thinking about quoting a job. Lastly is what the market will bear. If you're conducting a job for somebody maybe lives in Falmouth Foreside, they're going to expect to pay a little bit more than somebody that lives in Auburn. So again, the market that you're in can also determine, how much you're going to charge. Programs here, in particular, QuickBooks. QuickBooks has a self-employed program that starts at $15 per month, and that's pretty basic. And then you can go up to $75 a month for the advanced program. Then we also have Jobber here. And Jobber, excuse me, is $29 a month. And I would say Jobber is more really geared towards this type of work. Razors Inc., the same, it's 40, WorkWave is 79, and then Connect Team is a relatively new one. They start at $39 a month, and they have a free trial. And some of the other ones have a free trial as well. I would recommend just trying out different ones before you choose, as long as you can do the free trial. And paying for what you need. If you say, oh, the QuickBooks sounds great, I'm going to go right to the advanced. But if you're not going to use most of the programs within the advanced, then you're kind of wasting your money. You can always start out on the lower level and then work your way up to the next level. So whichever one you choose, it does take time to set these up and also to learn how to use the programs. The nice thing is that they'll keep track of the quotes for you. They'll produce invoices. They're going to manage your client list. And some of them have scheduling tools within them. So you can put in, the jobs that you're going to and the crews that you're sending to. They're very sophisticated at this point. But the longer you wait to do this, the more time it's going to take. It's a little bit of an investment for the software and learning it, but it's something that you probably want to consider on the off season, getting that up and running, getting your client lists in there, learning the system and building on it. And then here is I went a little farther into the specialized pricing, but certainly if you go into different areas, you have mowing packages, and you also do things that are beyond your regular scope of work, like, trimming around trees or, working in areas you don't normally work in. You want to recover some of those costs. And then if you're adding things like fertilization, mulch, herbicides, anything like that, you're going to consider doing costs plus 10% or 20% is standard. So those are all extra things. And then if you're going to do discounts, so if you go into a neighborhood and you can get 3 or 4 or more houses in a row, you may want to offer a discounted rate for that area. It's a great way to acquire more customers in the same space, which will save you time, because you can just park your vehicle in one neighborhood and be there probably the whole day, And, again, it's a good way to promote yourself. So those are all considerations on the specialized pricing. All right, excuse me, adding landscaping services. We're at this point, you're going from between $45 and $60 an hour to now your services are looking anywhere from $60 to $85 or more an hour when you add landscaping. When you do that, though, you really need to understand what you're doing. So some of the ways that people learn about landscaping is working for another landscaping, so work experience. Also adult education. There are a lot of, I live in Wyndham, they have some great courses here through adult ed, so you want to look into your local town and see what they offer. Books and online courses are good. And, of course, anything you want to learn, you probably can learn on YouTube. So you can YouTube it. I know myself, I have lilacs and I wanted to know, how to trim them in the good time of year to do that. And I found all kinds of great videos that were actually produced by master gardeners. So it was really good to do the YouTube. Local garden centers, Skillins offers classes in the wintertime. That's great. Home Depot, they offer some classes. And then like Blue Rock, and they offer classes in like stone wall building and laying pavers, things like that. So, just do a little research there. If you want to go to the next level, UMaine Cooperative Extension has a garden mentorship program, and they also have a Master Gardener Certification program. So that's really getting into understanding the different species and how to care for them and what plants like each other. Coastal Maine Botanical Gardens, they have a certification in native plants, and really, people are more into keeping the native plants within the state as opposed to introducing species from other states. And, we're learning that really it does affect our environment. So the more we can keep things native, it's really important. Next level would be getting your associate's degree in horticulture. SMCC offers a great program for that. And then UMaine, you can also go beyond that and include landscape design in that. When you get to the level of landscape design, you're now talking, charging folks between $100 and $145 an hour easily for that type of work. You certainly would be spending some time in the field to get an idea of the project, but a lot of time, using different programs on a computer. So again, another level beyond with the landscape design. And tools. So when it comes to landscaping, you're just adding some more hand tools here. This is going to require a lot more attention to detail, right kind of in the earth there with it. You have to really understand how to prune things, understand what is a weed, and make sure that you're not ripping up, somebody's wild flower bed when you think you're weeding. So these are just some of the tools that you'll use. Hardscaping, like Kelsey said, we were going to get a little bit into hardscaping. This term is relatively new to our vocabulary. Really, only in the last 20 years have people used this term hardscaping. So what hardscaping involves is actually building structures. And, sometimes that's incorporating those structures into the existing landscape, and sometimes that's leveling an area and starting, from scratch with a design. So, you can see that pool on one side with a nice fireplace there. Maybe they do brick oven pizza for their friends and family when they're sitting there. But this is more kind of a traditional, hardscape. And then what people are really getting into now is using the features that already exist. So we see this other one that has the waterfalls coming down, and they've worked with the slope that's there already. Truly both of them are beautiful, and they're different designs here. But these are some of the things that you would be doing when you're doing hardscaping. So that's another level of understanding. To be a hardscaper, you really need to understand, some basic construction. Also, about electrical and piping, plumbing. You need to be able to read blueprints. This job skill includes math, and you have to have a mechanical, kind of what I would consider more of an engineering mind when you think about this. Things that you're going to build here, just like the pictures, retaining walls, those outdoor kitchens are become extremely popular. So you need to understand how to integrate those into the stonework that you're doing. Also, you need to understand how to use the tools of the trade, including some of those larger pieces of equipment when you're doing this work. So again, a little more investment here. The personal protective gear. This is something that, for the most part, you should already have these items in place as a lawn care company. You want your staff to be wearing steel-toed boots. You want them to have gloves, safety glasses. Hearing protection is hugely important. That equipment is really loud. Those mowers are very, very loud. So these are things you probably already have in place. But then you're adding other hand tools like the hand tamper, a rubber mallet, the caulking gun, using a hammer and a chisel. Our power tools here, the masonry saw, you're going to need to cut, some of those pavers and blocks. The plate compactor, that's going to level the ground before you lay the pavers down. And, also, excuse me, like I said, the bigger equipment that you're going to get into. So a backhoe or a bulldozer in the state of Maine, you need a CDL, which is a commercial driver's license, to operate the bigger backhoe and bulldozer there. So before you go in investing in those, just make sure that you have that license to operate those. But the excavator and the skid steer loader are more in line with what people use on a regular basis when they're doing these types of jobs. So the skid steer, now that looks like a real fun piece of equipment. You got like your forklifts on there, you kind of got a little front loader. You even have like a stump grinder. So there's all kinds of equipment that goes with the skid steer. They start at about 30,000 and then they go up from there. But the nice thing is, like I said, you can, interchange those attachments. The mini excavator, that starts at about 25,000. That's a lot of investment for a small business. You can rent them. These are local rental prices, $225 a day for the skid steer, $175 a day for that excavator. And these rental charges, you want to make sure that you pass them on to your customer, but you keep them as a separate charge. So you're going to quote for, a certain, whether you're putting in, a backyard patio for somebody with some stone walls, whatever it is. If you're using these pieces of equipment, you're going to add that on. So you may say, we need to use a skid steer for this, and the cost for that is $350 per day on top of what the flat quote is to do the whole job. Because sometimes you're going to run into issues that were unexpected, which will leave these pieces of equipment on the job longer, and you don't want to have to eat that cost. And the last thing I'll say before I move on from this is, whenever you're doing any kind of digging, whether it's with equipment or even shovels and hand tools, you really need to call DigSafe. So that 811, gotta call that number before you start. Excuse me, you definitely don't want to hit into gas lines or power lines or anything, or water. That is going to be really, really costly. Usually they get back to you within a week, and they'll get out there and they'll flag all that stuff before you start. All right, hiring workers. Well, if you're already doing landscaping and lawn mowing and now hardscaping, you probably have said, well, I've got employees, but you want to plan for your future. So as you grow your lawn care business to the next level, say you go through a season and you've done very well, and your projections say that the next year you're going to grow your business by 30%. Well, you cannot be 30% more than what you've already done. So you've got to think about, how do I get employees and who do I want to hire? First, really write down a detailed job description and the expectations of that job. And then when you're looking for employees, realize that 79% of job seekers, they search online. Most everybody does everything online. I didn't put it in here, but I would also say ask friends and family if they have students in their household that would be interested in doing this. This is a great summer job for college kids and high school students. And if you're extending it, of course, you want people that can work at least 3 seasons. So you are going to want some adults that aren't in school working for you as well. Remember that, when you hire employees, they are a representation of your business. So you want them to be friendly and, a little bit customer oriented. They don't necessarily need to upsell or anything like that, but they should be friendly towards the clients they may encounter. You want them to be willing to learn something new and be prepared to work when they come to work. And I would recommend some kind of dress code. Like, you want them to make sure that they wear long pants. Now we have a huge issue with ticks. And, you want to make sure that they're taking care of themselves, and also that they're not going to, like a weed whacker can give you a great cut if you're just wearing shorts. So you want to make sure that they're wearing long pants. And if you give them company apparel, like t-shirts, give them 2 t-shirts so that they're required to wear a clean t-shirt every time that they come to work. Again, they're representing your company. Onboarding. Make sure you have an employee handbook ready. Make sure that they fill out all of their documents. It's really key that they've done all of that before they ever touch a piece of equipment or start the job. And then training. The more time you spend with the people that you hire, really the better the outcome is going to be for everybody. So if you figure that you're going to have to hire people for the next season, you may want to get them started in like April. And if they're like college students or high school students, maybe you can get them to start on the weekends, even if they just work around your yard or some of your smaller accounts to learn how to use the tools and identify like the plants and, just really so that they have attention to detail. That's truly important. Also empower them, so that they can solve some simple problems, that they're not calling you and, texting you and sending you pictures and saying, oh, is this a weed? Or, how do I trim around, this tree? Or, I'm not sure how to use this piece of equipment. So, truly you want them to be able to understand what they're doing and be able to solve problems. And then consider having a bonus. This usually is seasonal work, and it's much easier if you have good employees to get them to come back year after year. So incentivize the position, give them a bonus at the end of the season, but also give them, some type of incentive to come back. So if your season ends in September, if they work the whole season, you give them a couple $100 bonus, and then say to them, look, if you come back, by May, Memorial Day weekend, let's say, that you give them another $100. Also, if they have friends that would be interested in working, you can say, if you refer a really good friend and they work the whole season, I'll also give you, a little extra bonus for that. It's certainly easier to keep good employees than it is to train new ones. So those are considerations. Again, on the bottom here, this is a link to a webinar that my colleague Tina did. It is excellent. Becoming an employer in Maine, she really goes into all of the forms that you need to fill out, the agencies that you need to contact. I highly, highly recommend that you really watch that series. And even though I was an employer for years in a restaurant business, I learned a lot just watching that. So again, it's a great way, and certainly SBDC advisors can help you with that, but I'd give that a watch as well. All right, growing the business. So you've gone from the lawn care and now you're extending yourself. It's really important to keep your schedule and communicate with your clients. So, if you do somebody's lawn, every second or third Tuesday, make sure that you're there that second or third Tuesday. And if you can't be, make sure that you talk to them. Sometimes things happen or the weather isn't conducive. So, certainly keeping good lines of communication with your clients is going to be important. Create a portfolio. Lots of times we get really busy doing the business. So you get jobs, you get really excited, and you just start and you don't think, and then you go like, shoot, I should have taken a picture of this or that. In particular, if you have a client who just bought a piece of property that might be really overgrown, customers love to see before and after pictures. I mean, that's why those home improvement shows are really popular. So you want to make sure that you get those before and after pictures. Do videos too. So see if you take some videos of your employees in action. And if you don't have employees, ask a friend or family member to take videos of you. And when you create the portfolio, make an album, whether it's a digital album that you can bring to customers like on your iPad, or it's an actual physical album. Again, people we're very visual. We like to see those pictures. So it's important to create that portfolio. And then adding to your business, there's always fall cleanup. Nobody likes to rake leaves. I know I personally don't. So that's a good way to extend your season. And then spring refreshing. The wintertime, tree limbs come down, people snow blow, and you get sand all through your yard. Customers don't want to deal with that. So you can add that as well. And lastly, plowing. Really didn't go into this because this is another level of expense here. A plow truck can easily cost $50,000 or more. Certainly you can get something used and throw a plow on it and it would be a lot less, but it's very unpredictable in Maine now when it comes to our snow season. It used to be that you would have a storm every couple of days sometimes. Now we can go 4 or 5, even 6 weeks without any snow. So you can add plowing. I would save it for another webinar. We can probably get into that, and certainly we can help you with that if you're interested in discussing the expense and possibly the reward of doing that as well. But I'd like to thank you all again for being with me during your lunch. And Kelsey, if there's any questions, please let me know. I'll stop sharing.
There we go. Well, I mostly just got compliments sent in, so we'll take that as a win. But if there's any questions, feel free to pop those in the chat. This was fantastic. Thank you so much, Chris. As of the photographer, I very much encourage the before and after photos. I feel like that's how I initially was making all of my gardening choices.
Right. So is there anybody out there who is going to do this as a business? Has anybody popped into the chat where they are doing it?
Yeah, so we did have one couple who had to leave a little bit early, but they are interested in moving forward with this. So they sent many compliments along and said this was super helpful and that they were looking forward to the recording as well. So
excellent. All right, Kelsey. Well, thank you, everyone. We're ending 10 minutes early so you can finish your lunch. So
perfect.
Thanks so much. Have a great day.